Ladies and gentlemen,
Pound for pound.
The greatest radio show in the world of boxing.
are you ready?
This is Box Office Radio with Anton Gilmore
Let's get ready to rumble!
on brandlive.co.za.
Right, this is the Box Office Radio Show on brandlive.co.za. Got Anton Gilmore joining me here today. We're going to be taking you through everything boxing with a review of the money fight, as well as a lot more coming up, including the exciting Trilogy Boxing Festival event. We're going to get into all of that now. First of all, Anton, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Marco. Thanks for having me here.
Let's get into it straight away. Let's talk the money fight. McGregor, Mayweather. We had you in here last week. We were talking about the chances of Conor being able to take on someone as good as Mayweather. And we've sort of come to the conclusion that obviously not good enough, not in a boxing sense at least.
Yeah, I think the only people that really made money on this fight were the bookies. People were hoping for this big upset from McGregor. They also expected an early knockout from Mayweather, and that didn't happen, and he dragged him all the way to the 10th round. That was impressive on McGregor's part. And from a Mayweather perspective, he got hit more often than he did in any of his other bigger fights. I think he was a bit lax in this fight. Didn't take it as seriously as all the others. And that obviously gave him a higher total of punches landed on his face. It's from my perspective, I don't think this is a real fight, and I don't believe it is as real as it should be. But it should never have happened, and I think the fact that McGregor took on Mayweather, it was a nice hype fight for the social media and the world out there. But in reality, it wasn't a real fight, and I think by the fact that more punches were landed on McGregor's face, Mayweather's face, just tells you that he didn't take it as seriously as he should have.
So a little bit of an exhibition match. Conor McGregor was quoted as saying straight after the fight he didn't think that Mayweather was incredibly fast or incredibly powerful, which he obviously brings back from his stand-up game in mixed martial arts. But what he did say was that he's incredibly composed.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that from a boxing sense in general, away from this fight. How much of the technical ability of a boxer goes down to them being able to be relaxed, continue their game plan, and carry out strategy and reading a boxing fight, as opposed to the pure physical ability of being able to punch hard and very quickly?
You know, if you look at Mayweather's style, he's got that left hand down on the one side and the right hand up. He tended to actually have both hands up for quite a period of the fight. And when a guy's in that type of guys, it's very hard to land punches. And you can weather a lot of storms and actually come out of that attack that somebody else is putting on you and then land your punches easily. So from that perspective, standing in the pocket, as it's known, right in front of your opponent, and mixing with them and taking punches and landing punches, it's very easy to do if your defense is very tight. And Mayweather is the king of defense, and that's why McGregor says he was very composed. It was obvious he was composed. He was very confident because he knew that McGregor didn't have anything that could hurt him. The fact that McGregor said that Mayweather doesn't have power, I don't think Mayweather was giving 100%. If you watch that fight closely and then you watch some of the other fights that Mayweather had, you'll see that Mayweather was actually a lot faster, a lot sharper, a lot more alert and wary of his opponent. And he was fighting real fighters. He wasn't fighting an MMA guy that was taking a chance. So, it's expected that Mayweather was a bit more lax.
Well, it was an interesting fight, and there were a few interesting fights before it on the undercard. And talking about getting a little bit rough and dirty and gruff, it was one of those fights. It wasn't a very clean and elegant boxing fight. A bit of grappling and stuff going on as well.
Sure, yeah. You had those hammer fists coming from McGregor. There were about 5 occasions where he did that. The referee only warned him for 2, if I remember correctly. If he had done another one, there should have been a point minus, or at least a warning, and then a point minus, and then on a 5th one, probably a disqualification. So I think the ref was also a bit lax, and he let it slide based on the fact that you had an MMA guy coming up to boxing, and he let it go a bit. But it's boxing, and you can't let it go, because this is it's Mayweather. It's the pinnacle of the sport, and you can't be letting little transgressions happen. So I think, if you look at the whole thing, also the referee stopping that fight before McGregor actually tasted the canvas. McGregor said he would have preferred to have gone down, and then the ref stopping the fight. It's the job of the referee to look after the fighter. In my opinion, I would have loved to have seen him down on his knees, begging for forgiveness. But anyway, the ref did what he had to do. He did his job. But it could have gone a bit longer.
I mean, I very much like seeing that on a personal level. I think it's good for the sport, where if we had a high-profile brain injury from this fight, where he clearly couldn't protect himself anymore. He was really down and out, and the fight was very clearly over. So from my perspective, I think, well done, referee. You've kept a high-profile brain injury away from a man who needs to continue his career. He's still a young guy. He needs to continue his career in combat sports, whether it's coming back in boxing on a more amateur level and building his way up, or obviously continuing with the mixed martial arts stand-up combat sports. But enough about the money fight. I'm sure there's a lot of reading that everyone on Facebook and Instagram can continue for
I
themselves.
just have to interject there. There's Amir Khan has called out Conor McGregor, and he wants a fight with him. And it's all about money, Amir Khan taking on McGregor, it would be, I think he would do it a lot quicker than Mayweather, funny enough. He's got less to prove. That's on the table. And it will be interesting to see, does McGregor go back to MMA, or does he stay with boxing for a while? And, in South Africa, we've got a rule. If you have an MMA fight, you have to wait 6 months before you can have a boxing fight, and then you have to have a brain scan after each and every occasion that you go trip back to MMA. So, if they're going to be doing that in the States, if it's the same rule, you're going to have these long lapses in fight time.
Right.
But it's a long time since both of them had fights anyway. So it shouldn't be a problem.
That's an interesting one. Staying international, Triple G. Let's go into that big upcoming fight.
Yeah, that is the real fight. That should be the talk of the town. I hope it gets as much mileage as this circus act that's just happened. It's a super fight. Canelo, who's been in with Mayweather, did pretty well, and he went to 12 rounds. He's a bigger guy. He actually had to drop a lot of weight to meet Mayweather at his weight division. I think Canelo's in his perfect weight division. And Triple G, I've been in the vicinity, and he's not the biggest guy. So they perfectly mated from a size perspective. And then in terms of styles and things like that, it's really interesting. As much as this McGregor Mayweather fight was, who knows what's going to happen, it's the same scenario with this fight. Both guys are fantastic, and they've both got power in both hands. I'm inclined to say that Triple G is going to do the win here. Although my heart wants Canelo, I just like upsets. And Triple G is the best in the world. He's fantastic. He hits with supreme power. He's got a chin of granite. You can't get past that chin. And he's taken the best punches, and then he's stepped forward and he's actually knocked his opponents out. And Canelo can also take a fair beating. Not that he's been in many, because he's been delivering so many beatings. I just think that Canelo doesn't have the armory to beat a person like Triple G.
Right. Of course, Triple G's got that monster chin on him and can take a punch. So this one might even just get down to the points, which Which is always nice to see, I guess, from a boxing perspective. It's nice to see a scorecard.
Yeah, it's
and
real boxing.
Real boxing from a sporting perspective, instead of fighting, which a lot of us like that element of the sport as well. So that's a big, exciting event, the Triple G Canelo fight. Be sure to catch that one, as that will be one of the big international fights and a really good one to watch. Bringing it home and bringing it local. Speaking of good events and a great one to watch, we've got a big event coming up. The Unleashed presents a Trilogy Boxing Festival happening on the 3rd of September here in Johannesburg. And there's a whole host of really top-notch fights happening on this one. Anton, let's get into it. Let's start out with the main bout. This will be the SA title fight. Let's talk about the boxers. Let us know a little bit more about each one of them.
Okay, Fila Mpunchana, he's from Zimguni stable. Zimguni is the coach that delivered Mbulelo Butili in Kita, and also Vuyani Bungu. And some of the hottest junior feathers in the world came out of that stable. I fought a couple of these guys as well, and he's a great trainer, and he's got this is his last champion that's in his gym apparently, and we're giving him a chance on this bill up here in Johannesburg, and he's a fantastic fighter. He's really good, and he's done well to earn this title, and he based on his trainer, they've just coached him well and brought him to this SA title. And now we got Lucky Umbuyani, who is from the Rodney Berman Fund, and he opened up a special project in what's that place just north of the Carousel, and they found this boy and they've built him slowly, and he's actually trained by Harold Vorbrecht at the moment, and he's done really well, and he's got himself a Gauteng title already. And now Lucky is taking on the SA champion, and this is a great fight, It's Lucky's time, and Philo is also, he's a little bit ahead of Lucky in terms of experience and abilities, and I think Philo has the upper hand here, but Lucky's got his lucky break, let's say, and he's got to step up and show that he can. And, with somebody like Harold Vorbrecht in your corner, he can get you into those places where you can win.
Now, this is a division that you should know quite a lot about. It's pretty similar to the weight categories in which you fought in. Junior lightweight. Tell us a little bit more about what we can expect from the fight, not necessarily just in terms of the boxers themselves, but what a boxing novice can expect from a junior lightweight and specifically a title fight.
This is Brian Mitchell's world title weight. Okay,
right.
So you're going to have a very high work rate, a lot of power, a lot of speed. Okay, the heavier you go in the divisions, the speed drops and the work rate drops. But with these guys, you got a mix of all of them. Okay, and so you're going to get a lot of power coming from these guys, but essentially speed and work rate. And I think that's going to be on the high side, and it's going to be a very active fight. Lucky had a great fight in his last turn, and I enjoyed it, and he won the title there, and he looked the best I've ever seen. So, and he was offering a lot of movement, slipping, hitting and moving, and that's a great attribute to have, because you want to be slipping, ducking, hitting and moving and not getting hit, and that's the art of boxing, the sweet science, hit and don't get hit. So from those two guys you can expect that. And in terms of I think it's going to go the distance. This is your typical can hit, can take it, a lot of speed, but we're going the distance, Definitely a distance fight for me.
Excellent. So moving on to the Gauteng title fight. Now, this includes two exceptional boxers in the South African game. One from your own stable. We're talking about the Gauteng title fight, so the junior welterweights, a 10-round fight for Michael Mokoena and Tebogo Molosi.
Okay, so look, Michael is super agile. He hits and moves all the time. He's a southpaw, which makes it awkward straight away. He in his last fight, he beat Solani Mgidi, and that was a supremely energetic performance. He hit and move, and he couldn't be touched. Straight after that fight, funny enough, I had a guy, Tyron van Infeld, saying, "Your guy is hot, I'm actually going to sponsor him, he's just brilliant." So there you get your plug, Tyron. And Tebogo Molosi, he's campaigned a lot at the middleweight division, and his coach, Bernie Paleman, who's a top coach, and he's the right-hand man to Colin Nathan, he says, "No, listen, we're going to take this fight at junior welters." So it's a lot of weight to lose. What can you expect with a lot of weight to lose? Slow, sluggish, coming down from a division where the hands aren't as fast. I'm hoping, what I'm surmising here is he's going to be slow, and I know that he comes forward, and we're going to see this guy coming at Michael 9 times out of 10, and it's going to be a come forward fight. But at the same time, I don't think Michael's going to have an easy time, because the guy does punch hard, and I have got that through the grapevine. And he is coming from a heavy division, so you can imagine he's going to punch hard. I just hope he makes the weight division, because if he doesn't, then the title fight's off, and I'll be very unhappy, because I've got 3 title fights lined up for Michael this year. So we need to get past this one and notch our first title onto our belt, and that's it. But yeah, a good fight. It's going to be a 10-round mayhem fight.
So let's talk a little bit more about that with Tebogo. Were it that he failed to make weight, does this fight continue just without a title on the line? Is there still an exhibition for the fans, or does it simply just go by the wayside?
No, it will still be a 10-round fight. It will be a catch-weight fight after that. And the rules are, if you can't make the weight, you lose 30% of your purse. So the boxers, at 30% of your purse is a lot of money. And so I'm sure he's going to make the weight, but he's going to suffer. And if he doesn't, the fight's still on. We're still going to see Mike McGregor in action. His 3rd fight in the last 4 months. So, it's going to happen.
Once again, this is all about the Trilogy Boxing Festival happening on the 3rd of September in Johannesburg. Let's interrupt going through the fight, Bill, and talk about tickets. Where can people get tickets? How can they get hold of you if they do want to come and enjoy the fight? And let's talk a little bit about where we're going to watch this fight.
Okay, listen, this fight's at the classic venue, the Portuguese Hall. This venue has hosted some of the biggest title fights ever. And before we had the Ellis Parks and things like this, the Portuguese Hall was the place to go, and it used to pack out. It can seat roughly about, they're saying 3,000 people, with all the chairs on the soccer pitch, and also the casual seating, which is up on the arena side. That's 1,800 people. So it's going to be a full day, and we're trying to get stadium style boxing happening again. The tickets you can collect from me. My number is 083 653 0190, or you can go on TicketWeb and you can purchase them there. My 2 other partners in this, Lionel Hunter, he's got tickets, and Manny Fernandes, he's also got tickets, and Manny, being Portuguese, really gives us the spice we need for a Portuguese Hall event, and it's going to be a fantastic day. People arrive at 11. The South Social starts, because there's going to be a lot of people you haven't seen for years. It's almost like a get-together of your old friends, a reunion, so to speak. And so for about 2 hours, people are going to mull around. Then 1:30, we're going to start the boxing. And away we go. There's food available. We're going to have loads of stalls outside, jumping castles for the kids, loads of parking, all safe parking. We've got car guards for the parking lots. We've got the parking lot at Callisto's next door. So parking is not an issue, and we do expect a lot of people. So from that perspective, loads of parking, loads of safety, everything's good.
So if you're not familiar with the south of Joburg and you're wishing to come watch the event from anywhere else in Johannesburg, let's talk about where the venue is exactly. How do you come from Johannesburg East, Johannesburg North? How do we find the Portuguese Hall?
Okay, it's very simple. If you were coming on the M2, you would take the Selby Road off-ramp.
Right.
Okay, come down, you would turn left at the next road, and then right onto Elof Street Extension and drive all the way down past the racecourse, which will be on your left-hand side, Turpentine Fire Station on your right. Turn right there, and the Portuguese Hall is on your left-hand side. Very easy to find. And I think I could give you 100 different ways to get there, but that's the simplest. If you take the M2, hop off at Selby, get onto Elof Extension, drive all the way down, and you're going to find us.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get back into this fight, Bill. So, an exciting event inside a closed arena. Going to be a lot of noise, a lot of excitement, and a lot of buzz. A whole lot of atmosphere is what we're expecting from this event, particularly for those two big fights that we've already gone through. The main SA title bout between Lucky and Fila, and the Gauteng title fight between Michael and Tebogo. There's also an international fight now, away from South African champions, between one of your own, Clement Kamanga, as well as Limpani Chipaka.
Okay, so Clement has actually joined the Hunter stable, and he's now based there. He also works for Lionel, and the move wasn't anything bad. We all still friends and things like that. And he's fighting this guy from Malawi. There's a guy called Roger. He's been bringing all these Malawi boxers into South Africa,
Right.
And there aren't enough tournaments over there, so they're desperate for fights. So you got some really good guys wanting to come to South Africa to fight, and so this was a great opportunity for us to put on a totally international fight. Both these guys aren't originally from South Africa, so it's going to be a good fight. Clement is up for a title fight after this fight, and so is Mike McGregor. And if both of these guys get past this fight, they will end up fighting each other on the 4th of November for the WBF All Africa title. So there's breaking news. Not many people know this, and you're probably the first to find out that fight's happening. So these guys have to fight well and do a really good job to earn themselves at a WBF title.
Well, that's big news and a big announcement. You've heard it here first. The WBF Africa title fight potentially on the line for these two guys to make sure that they can achieve just that.
I think I need to mince it a bit more. Both these boys came from my gym. Clement had a span of fights, amateur and pro with me. Mike McGregor, amateur and pro with me. And Mike's with me still, and Clement's moved over to the Hunter stable. So there's no animosity. It's just I know both boys, and I know it's going to be a tough fight for both of them, you know. I can see how it's going to play out. And I think anybody that knows their boxing and knows these two fighters will be able to say, I can see the ending myself. Clement's the big banger, and he's knocked out, as an amateur, he knocked out the first 17 fighters that he fought. So he's like a little bit of a, what do you call it, a Chavez type of guy. He just knocks everything else. And Mike's the twinkle toes, up on his legs, hitting, moving all the time. And he's got a great left hand. So, you know, he's got power to deliver some knockout punches, as he did in his last fight.
So these guys, both junior welterweight division fighters, both pretty tall boys with a lot of arm reach as well. So that should be an exciting one to watch and to look forward to. And this will be a great preview at the Trilogy Boxing Festival. Let's move on and continue down the fight bill for the Trilogy Boxing Festival event. Another all South African fight. Let's go a little bit more in detail into this one.
Okay. Paul Mangsalana, he's with Lionel. He came over from Manny Fernandes stable. Lionel says he's got a lot of promise. We'll see how he can do. And Diiko, I don't know much about him, so I couldn't actually wrap it up for you. But he is a fair opponent, and the matching's been done well. So I think you can expect a really good fight there, nevertheless.
Of course, that's a featherweight bout,
Yeah.
which is always fun to watch because the speed is hugely impressive. And you see a lot of punches tend to land in featherweight fights even though there's not necessarily immediate knockouts thereafter.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a good one in that respect. It's a big fight here, and I'm not sure if you've got the latest, Bill, but Jason Biederman was due to fight this guy Zenzili, and Jason got injured, so he couldn't fight. So we replaced him with Jared Silverman, and so he's all in the news and what have you. And straight after this fight, he goes and he fights for another title fight. So he just lost for the SA title fight. He's having another warm-up, and then off he goes for another SA title fight. And he's a lucky man to be getting all these title fights. So let's see how he does. But Jared Silverman on the show, there's a lot to say about him. He got shot a couple times in the body. It looked like he'll never box again, let alone live. And he made a full recovery. He's already had a fight. He's been training hard with Gert Stradum. He's doing fantastically there. Gert's a really good coach. They call him Coach G. And he couldn't be at a better stable. And now with this fight coming up, Zenzili is with a guy called Lahlonolo Ledwaba, former world champion, actually the guy that lost to Manny Pacquiao and put Manny Pacquiao on the map, funny enough, okay?
Wow.
What a bad title to have. I'm the guy that Manny Pacquiao stepped on to get to the first world title.
I don't think there's much shame in that when someone as successful as Manny Pacquiao is the one who used you as a stepping stone in his career.
Sure.
So an incredible story there, and of course, what an incredible story of survival. So that's a very interesting fight to have a look at from a human perspective as well.
So anyway, Zenzili's fighting Jared Silverman, and that's going to be a good fight. And then moving further down the card there, we've got Raymond Kapula, and he's fought just about everybody. He's fought Paul Kamanga, Jason Biederman, you name it. And now he's up against Junior Asoya, also a fellow Congolese guy, and he's trained by Rocky Weinstein. And let me tell you, I saw this guy have a couple fights. He's a banger of note, and Raymond's going to have a hard time coming up against Junior, Raymond's hardy, and he can take it. But Junior is just a lethal puncher, and I don't expect this to go the distance.
That's an exciting one for fight fans to come and enjoy. Of course, we are continually talking about the upcoming Trilogy Boxing Festival happening at Johannesburg's Portuguese Hall on Sunday, the 3rd of September. You can get your tickets from any of the event organizers, including my guest today, Anton Gilmore, as well as from Web Tickets. Let's move along down the fight bill again even further. Another pick from you?
Okay, let's move down. Mitch Stein, he's on the rise. He's doing really well. He's got the fancy hairdo, spiky blonde hair. I wonder if he's going to do a Heki Butler where it will be pink or something like this. But nevertheless, Mitch Stein can put it up. Really good fighter, loving his boxing, loving being part of this whole boxing family, so to speak. And he's up and everywhere. And he's fighting another South African, Refuwemela Noah. And it's a name to get through. But anyway, good fight. Mitch Stein is the prospect here that everybody's looking to see do well. And we'll see how he does.
Of course, that fight only 4 rounds. Talk us through that. What really dictates the number of rounds coming up in a fight? Anyone from an amateur knowledge of boxing, how do we decide how many rounds a fight goes on to?
It's just an experience thing. You'll probably start off your first couple fights, maybe 3 or 4 rounders. Then in your 5th or 6th fight, you'll go to a 6-rounder. Do a few of those, go to 8. And then obviously your international fights are typically 10 rounders or your Gauteng titles. And then obviously you'll be waiting for a title shot round about your 20th fight. So, that'll give you a nice timeline for things. So 4 rounders up to 5 fights, 6 rounders up to 10 fights, 8 and 10 rounders up to 15, and then you're hoping to like 15 upwards, you're looking for big title shots after that, and that's your 12-round fights.
So another 4-round fight on the fight card here. Serge Congolo and Wynand Mulder.
Okay. Hell of a thing. Both guys got injured. Both of them got shoulder injuries. Okay, one in sparring, and the other one fell off a ladder at work and damaged his ribs and his shoulder. So that fight's off. But lo and behold, Zaba Promotions phoned us last week and they said, listen, I want you to put my guy Bongani Mklangu on it if there's space. And the space just opened up fortuitously for him. And so we got Bongani Mklangu up against an opponent that I'll give you in a second. It's
Sure.
the important thing to note is that Bongani is a former world champion and he's hot. He's been SA champion as a flyweight, junior bantam, and a bantamweight, and I think he's fighting now at junior feather. So it's going to be a great fight. He's very lanky, he's awkward, and he's got this mop of Rastafarian hair, you know, and he just looks the part. He's the nicest guy on earth. He's got his own gym, nice guy to know, and it's going to be a good fight. I don't know much about his opponent, but I do know it's going to be a great fight because, you know, Bongani is just special.
Right. So another interesting bout for fight fans. And this is another big ticket in terms of coming to enjoy boxing, something that's less prominent in the boxing world, a ladies' fight.
So, you know what? You got ladies coming to boxing a lot more. And it was formerly a male-dominated arena, and now you got ladies stepping up and saying we want equality. And Layla Ali is probably one of the biggest ambassadors of female fighting, and she came to South Africa and had a fight, and she's really, she could be the quintessential female boxer that you would use as a poster girl. And now you got a lot of ladies fights happening. I've got my girl Siobhan Patterson. She's had 2 SA title shots at the welterweight division. She took some time off and she's come back and she's fighting now in the heavyweight division. But she'll be up against, let's see, what's her name?
Lillian Malama.
That's it, Lillian. And the funny thing is, both of them have had fights against each other, one amateur and one pro. And so they know each other. Funny enough, Siobhan actually trained Lillian at one stage. So, you know, we had to put a female fight on this. I had Siobhan in the gym, and I just said, Siobhan, I know you want to lose a whole lot of weight. Let's have a go now. Let's just have a go, you know, jump in and have a great fight and see where it takes us. So we've been working hard for the last couple of weeks now just to make sure that this fight happens. It's almost a necessity that they put female fights on every pro tournament. It's getting tabled that it happens that way, so that more women get exposure. And I'm not sure if it's gazetted yet, but it has gone out that they're looking for one female fight at least on every pro tournament, which is a great thing. It gives the ladies a soapbox for them to step up and show the world that they can box. Now, let me say, Lillian is a machine. Throws punches in bunches, and she just keeps on coming forward. She can take it, and she delivers loads of punches. It's only a 4-round fight. So a 4-round fight is a sprint. It's like the 100 meters in athletics. You just got to throw punches from start to go, and may the best man land the punches, or lady, and win. And so we're going to have a very strategic fight from our side. And from Lillian's side, it's just going to be step on the petrol and walk forward.
I love that. It's just an interesting way to try and bring more women into sports in general. And even though there's perhaps not been a lot of ladies involved in boxing, in the boxing world before, it's nice to see that there's the opportunity now for ladies to get involved. We're going to head into a short little ad break, and we'll be right back with you on brandlive.co.za.
If you're looking for an information technology and communication solution company suitable for your small or medium-sized enterprise, then look no further than Hive ICT. They aim to provide SMEs with the same level of service expected by large corporations without sacrificing the personal relationship they have with their customers. Offering remote and on-site support, as well as IT system design, network design and installations, server and workstation maintenance, and web design, web application development, and more. Visit www.hiveict.com right away.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Pound for pound.
The greatest radio show in the world of boxing.
are you ready?
This is Box Office Radio with Anton Gilmore
Let's get ready to rumble!
on brandlive.co.za.
And we're back. We've just been talking Trilogy Boxing Festival on brandlive.co.za with Anton Gilmore. If you are interested in joining us for that fight, which you really should be, well, rather set of fights, be sure to get your tickets now either directly from Anton, any of the other promoters, or from Web Tickets. Trilogy Boxing Festival happening at the Portuguese Hall in Johannesburg South on Sunday the 3rd of September. Right, Anton, a little chat that we had last week, and after this big money fight, let's see if anything has perhaps changed in this realm of how do we fix boxing?
Okay. This is a subject passionate to me. I wrote the recovery plan for Vodacom sale company in 2003, and they liked it, and then they shelved it because they were going to spend money on 2010. But the thing was to make sure every single amateur gym has enough equipment, that they're putting on tournaments, and that they start a non-profit organization that looks after children specifically in conflict with crime. And Box Office ventured down this road, and we had to walk this talk. And what we did, we started a project called Fight with Insight in 2006. Myself and Luke Lamprecht opened this, and he found that boxing helped him resolve a lot of issues that he dealt with in a work environment where he dealt with abused kids at the Terrier clinic. And then we started training kids that were in conflict with crime, that were actually child sex offenders, and they were children themselves. And we've rehabilitated 130, and not one child has ever recorded another case of sexual abuse at any police station since then. 2 of the kids of the 130 did fall onto a drug situation, but a 98% success rate makes it one of the best projects ever. And so now, if we can do that at my gym, Box Office, every other gym in South Africa can do that easily, all right? There's 250 amateur gyms. If every gym looked after 10 kids, it's 2,500 kids looked after in projects nationwide, year on year. Just so that you know, one child sex offender offends 364 people in a lifetime. 40% of those kids will go on to abuse others, and so it's a self-replicating problem. Now, if you stop one abuser, you stop a huge amount of problems in the future. And from a cost perspective to the country, it costs the country 100,000 Rand to process one child sex offence case. So the numbers are bigger than the Mayweather and McGregor fight in terms of money saved to the country over the last 11 years with myself and Luke and Sherry. So now, if every amateur gym started up a project to look after kids that were in conflict with crime, the bullied kids, the anger management kids, the kids that are the bullied, we could start to do real things with boxing, and then boxing will become the savior of the youth. And I've been saying this for years, that boxing will save the youth. And at the moment, I train a whole lot of kids, and I've got kids that are have got issues with learning, ADHD. We train kids with autism. We train kids at Tara. We train guys with males with mentally deranged symptoms at the Talisman. We're looking after kids at Inkosi's Haven who are kids with are related to AIDS. Either their parents are AIDS or they were orphaned by AIDS and things like that. And then we also look after kids from St. Mary's Home, which a lot of these kids are dumped by their parents because they don't want to look after them and they have special needs. So we've been using boxing as a mechanism to recover the youth for quite a long time now. And I think if every amateur boxing gym realizes that they can latch onto this and start to train outside of just your amateur fighters, they start to look after the community at large, then I think they can actually get a lot more momentum for their club, because I know all amateur boxing gyms struggle, and this is a way for us to get funding for them. And if you've got an NPO, people give you money, and then you can actually give them a tax write-off, and then it all works. That's the base of fixing boxing.
I really like it, and it's a very selfless place to start to create a sustainable future for the sport. One of my main concerns from something that we discussed last week was South Africa, a country with a very rich boxing history, incredibly rich boxing history, some great international fighters, including, as you mentioned earlier, we were talking about a few, including Brian Mitchell. We also have the likes of Baby Jake, people who have really shown on the world stage internationally. And South Africa didn't send anyone to the most recent Olympics. And the Olympics is a space in which international fighters have often put themselves on the world stage. We look at the likes of Golden Boy from South America and many others. Yeah, I believe Muhammad Ali, was he an Olympic boxer before international? You know, so we have the likes of international superstars who have built their careers on the Olympics, and South Africa didn't seem to send anyone this last time round. How do we get either the Olympic Committee in behind it? Do we need some corporate sponsorship, more interest in the sport, so that we can really start getting our boys out there?
Okay, so you brought up the Olympics, and this is a very interesting topic, because the Olympics was the last amateur sport at the Olympics. Boxing was the last amateur sport. And at the last Olympics, they had a pro-am type Olympics where professional boxers could enter. But you remember, a professional boxer pulls a lot of weight to make weight for one day. If you're going to the Olympics, you're going to make the weight for 4 or 5 days in a row. And you've got to make sure you're in that weight every single day. And so you didn't have a load of professional boxers coming into the Olympic fighting this year. This Olympics just passed. And the funny thing is, every professional boxer that did enter was out in the first round. So it's not to say that the professionals are coming to the Olympics and they're going to take over. It's not like that at all. It's a very different style of boxing, amateur and professional, especially if it's Olympic style scoring. The guys are a lot faster. They've got a very upright type of position, and it's loads of straight punches with occasional hooks. But you've got it's not easy for a pro to come down to the amateurs again. So people mustn't be scared about the fact that now the amateurs are going to get taken over by pros and things like that. Not at all. I think the amateurs will show up the pros at the Olympics every single time. The problem is South Africa didn't send any this last time. I'm happy to say I've got a kid in our Fight with Insight program that is being earmarked for possible entry to the Olympics. His name is Reggie Magashua. He's been in our project for years, and he's just a special boy. He's really bright. He's studying a master's in business, and at the same time he's boxing, and he boxes really well. He knocked out the SA Hopeful a couple months ago in the first round with a beautiful, I think it was a right hook if I'm not mistaken. But we've got a lot of talent, and it seems like they're trying to look. It's 2017 and it's 2020 for the next Olympics. They're already earmarking guys now, and for the first time, in my opinion, they're taking these guys and they're putting them in schools to improve their boxing and making sure that they have a bit of a relationship with the fighters before they go to the Olympics. Because typically fighters come from many different gyms and they pull them together and they say, okay, now you're in the Olympic squad and you've got to train with this trainer. And they don't know each other.
Right.
So now they're developing a relationship over 3 years. By the time they get to the Olympics, these guys will know who their coach is outside of their other coach, and they'll be able to talk the same language, which is very important.
That's excellent. Is this an initiative that was started by the South African Boxing?
Yeah, they've done it typically not so far in advance of this. It would be a year or two before that they would look at these guys. It's 3 years to go. They're already earmarking guys, which is a fantastic thing. And they're already having training sessions together. And there's another thing called the PBL, which is an amateur boxing league where these guys get invited all over the country and they fight in a league to be the best in the leagues. Same as soccer. And it's a fantastic idea to see who actually wins the league championship at the end of the year. It hasn't been that successful because they have a tournament and it gets cancelled last minute, but the idea is fantastic, and that way you're going to give your boys a lot more exposure, and they're fighting SADC Africa, so it's not just South African fighters. You can be fighting internationals and things like that, so you're going to get the guy that's earmarked for the Olympics getting a load of experience and international experience, and because he's in a championship or a league, he's always got the right mindset that he's fighting for something, and it's not just an ordinary fight which you typically would have every day, every week, should I say. So yeah, the SA squad seems to be collecting a lot sooner than they need to, and so I think at the Olympics coming up in 3 years' time, we should have a couple that go to the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? And Reggie, in my opinion, really deserves to. He's got this real amateur style. He's tall, he's lanky, and he came through my gym, so I know he's hot.
Excellent. Let's get into a little bit of your history as a boxer. Of course, Anton, the Irish Terrier, Gilmore. Let's talk a little bit about your career. First of all, let's start with your weight division. What weight division did you fight in?
So as an amateur, I was a bantamweight, which is 54 kilos, and I was 19 when I won my second and third SA title. And then I turned professional and I fought at 55.34, which is known as the junior featherweights, or as it's known in the States, super bantam. And that was my division. I did dabble once or twice at 53 kilos, but I felt it was a bit of a strain to get to that weight. So I hung out in the 55k division for most of my career. And at that stage, when I was fighting, we had guys like Cassius Beloy, Welcome Nikita, Vianney Bungu, Umbulelo Butili, and quite a few others. And in those four guys that I just mentioned, we were all world rated. Oh, and Lachlono Ledwaba, you know what I'm saying? So we had 6 guys that were world rated in the SA top 10, and that's phenomenal. And 4 of those actually were world champions anyway. So wow. We had the junior featherweights at my time of fighting, I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but it was the hottest division in the world at that stage, It changes from time to time, but back then it was the junior feathers.
Excellent. And in terms of your international fighting experience, how did you find it to leave the South African shores to go and have a fight?
Okay, so I had a great career. I got to, I beat the WBF world champion at Marula Sun, and I soundly beat him. And then I knocked out the Free State champion, and then I beat the Commonwealth champion at Sun City, and they was nominated for Fight of the Year. And then Rodney Berman said, Anton is ready for a world title. So he sent me to America, and I fought in the Pocono Mountains, which is about an hour outside of New York, and at the Fernwood Resort, and I fought the worst type of opponent, a short Mexican. Okay.
Right.
So I hate short guys. Give me a tall guy any day, a big guy, I can handle that. But a short guy is a hard guy to hit, because as soon as you start throwing uppercuts and hooks, they bring overhand punches. And Max Gomez was phenomenal on the day. He took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, because Joan Lowy, who the original opponent was, stepped out, and I had to fight Max Gomez. And it was just tough. I was away from home. I was a little bit of discord. I left my hotel room to go to the change room for the fight a little bit too late, and the fight just before us, which was Angel Man Freddy versus David Toledo, ended in a cut in the 3rd round, and that fight was over. And I was stuck, and I hadn't warmed up properly. We hadn't got the gloves on or anything, and they just chased us out of the change room and said, "You on?" So I wasn't ready. I was super fit, I must be honest. So the 12 rounds were great. And because it was my first world title fight, all I wanted to do was push forward and try my best to win. And I just kept on pushing. And all Max Gomez did all day was hit and counter, because if you know your opponent's coming, you don't have to do much. You just have to throw punches and he's going to walk into them. And so unfortunately that's what happened on that day. And I fought on St. Paddy's Day in just outside New York with my green and shamrock trunk on, and I go and lose, and it was just the worst type of scenario to imagine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
surely
so,
you must have had a lot of the locals backing the Irish Terrier there, from a very predominantly Irish community,
absolutely.
from the Great Potato Famine, during the early 1900s. A lot of Irish immigrants migrated to that area of the United States. So a massive Irish community, and obviously a disappointing story for you. But of course, at the end of the day, a great experience and something to look back on.
Yeah, I was lucky. I got a break. And as I was climbing in the lift straight after that fight, Cedric Kushner, who's the promoter for that fight, teamed up with Rodney Berman. He said to me, "Anton, that was a great fight. Don't worry, you'll get another fight in a year's time." And so typically if you lose a world title fight like this overseas, they put you on the shelf and nothing's going to happen with you for a long time. And so I had another fight 4 months after that, and it was a great win. And then I thought, seems like my career's still going. Then I got another fight and I won that fight again. And then the fights dried up, and it was around about October that's at that stage. And I just wasn't getting fights. So I just thought, well, I'm going to pack it in. So I retired. To nobody's knowledge, I just stopped going to training. I fell off the map. And then a month before the 22nd of March, my coach phoned me. He said, "Anton, they just phoned me. Nick Durant wants you to fight Cassius Beloy." So I said, "When?" He said, 4 weeks' time. So I said, "Fine, give me 50 grand and I'll do it." And I started training again, got my pulse rate down to 36, and I was feeling fantastic. I did 10 rounds of hand pads before the fight, jumped into the fight. Cassius Beloy had 2 or 3 entry songs. They were hoping I'd go cold. The fight started. I looked across the ring at him, and I thought our plan was to box this guy. And this guy is the ultimate boxer, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to actually ball forward and throw a whole lot of punches, and if I miss a punch, my body will carry me in and push him backwards, and I'll turn a little bit untidy, but I'll close that gap, because if you're in the pocket, you're going to get hit. So I closed that pocket quickly, and that's how the fight went. And for 12 rounds, I fought exactly the same way. I broke his jaw in the 10th round, and then if you've ever seen the fight, you'll know that it was a bit of a dubious decision. So it's up to you whether you've seen the fight and you think I won or lost, but nevertheless, it was a great fight. First time 2 South Africans ever fought against each other for the world title. And that's funny, because we'd been professionals for 100 years and no 2 South Africans had ever fought for a world title against each other. So here was Cassius Beloy and myself having a go. So it was a great fight and a nice way to retire. Allow me to continue, because I'm going to tell you what happened next.
I'm fascinated by your story, and I'll let you go on.
All right. So I retired. I opened up a paint shop with my brother-in-law, Joe, and we ran that for 7 years very successfully. And then in 2000, I was hungry for boxing again, so I went back and I started training at my old Southern Suburbs Boxing Club gym. And when I was there were a whole lot of other guys, Lionel Hunter and Dave Smith and just a few guys that were the guys in town, the bad guys, so to speak. And they were all training there, the heavies. And they said, "Anton, why don't you train us?" So I ended up training these guys, and then lo and behold, they wanted a fight. So I ended up becoming up an amateur coach and taking over Southern Suburbs Boxing Club. And my brother-in-law Joe said, "Anton, I see you love this. It's your passion. Go back to boxing. I'll buy you out." and you can go do boxing full time. And so that's what I did in 2001, and just started training guys. And within a month of being open, I had my first SA kickboxing champion, which was, I was just his hands coach. But yeah, Sean Hyde went and won the SA title with 2 knockouts in a row with the right hand, funny enough. He didn't even use his kicks. So that set the premise for my boxing gym. We were off and we were up and doing well. And everything was going very well. I met a lady called Karen, and we got married. I met her at Southern Suburbs. We got married, we had 2 kids. And then my second kid, Aiden, was born with tuberous sclerosis, which is a disease that creates tumors throughout the body. And he's got about 20 brain tumors, 9 tumors on the heart, kidney tumors, skin tumors, epilepsy, and autism. So that's a lot to digest. So they said he was going to die at birth. And after 4 days, he came out of hospital, and the doctor gave us the baby and he said, "Good luck, here's your child." And so we didn't sleep for 2 months at least, because we were worried that the eventuality is this, our child was just going to conk out. And then it didn't happen that way, and it offered a lot of pressure on my marriage. And I had a lot of pent-up anger, and I was taking a lot of strain because Aiden needed a lot of money to look after, and we were struggling as it is on my gym salary and Lynn's and Karen's salary. And Karen had to leave work so we could look after Aiden full-time. So I asked Chef Ellis, I'm keen on making a comeback to boxing to raise money and awareness for my son Aiden. And he said, "Fine, you're fighting in 4 months' time." And in 4 months, I lost 10 kilos. I trained every day. I injured myself running home late at night on days, stepping in potholes and things like that. I went to train with Rob McLeod in Hillbrow at the summit, and a guy called Charles trained me there, and I would go there for sparring as often as I could, and I would train at my own gym, and I would run during the day, and I split my workouts up. Because I was old, I couldn't have a solid 2-hour workout, so I used to run a bit and do a bit of weights and do a bit of sparring, and I separated them, and I got myself into pretty good shape. I stopped smoking. I was smoking for 13 years, and I packed it in. And then I had the fight against Thompson Mokwana, who's presently the SA champion, and I beat him on majority points decision over 6 rounds at Emperor's Palace, and I got a standing ovation. I think that moment is in my top 10 list of favorite moments of all time. And so that's more or less where I am now. And that was when my son was a year old, and he just turned 10 the other day, and he's going well, and he's not going to die anytime soon. So that's the happy side of that story.
It's an excellent story, and I'm sure it hits the hearts of many people listening. I'd love to carry on, and I'm actually just waiting on confirmation to see if we can carry on our show. So we're going to go into a short ad break, and then we'll come right back.
If you're looking for an information technology and communication solution company suitable for your small or medium-sized enterprise, then look no further than Hive ICT. They aim to provide SMEs with the same level of service expected by large corporations without sacrificing the personal relationship they have with their customers. Offering remote and on-site support, as well as IT system design, network design and installations, server and workstation maintenance, and web design, web application development, and more. Visit www.hiveict.com right away.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Pound for pound.
The greatest radio show in the world of boxing.
are you ready?
This is Box Office Radio with Anton Gilmore
Let's get ready to rumble!
on brandlive.co.za.
And we're back with Anton Gilmore on brandlive.co.za. This is the Box Office Radio Show. We were talking a little bit about Anton's history, and anyone who is interested in seeing some of the highlights from the Cassius Baloy fight that Anton spoke about, the first world title to ever be held between 2 South Africans, there are highlights from that fight, including a jaw-breaking incident as well as a few others available on the internet. Just simply get on that Google and start searching. Speaking about being able to watch highlights from a fight and being able to watch fight events, the upcoming Trilogy Boxing Festival. Now, that's not going to be available for you to watch in your home, so be sure to get your tickets right away. You won't be able to watch the event live on TV or on the internet, and be sure to come on through to the day itself and have a great day with the family.
Yeah, the event's going to be fantastic. I'm going to open it up to anybody that's listening. I'll give 2 tickets to the first 5 people that inbox me on Facebook and just tell me what my pro boxing record was. And then I will give you the 2 tickets if you get it right.
Okay, so tickets available to anyone who inboxes Anton Gilmore on Facebook. That's www.facebook.com/Anton Gilmore. And you'll find his page there. You can send him an inbox message and give him his fight record. And he'll give you tickets to the great event coming up on the 3rd of September. It's Sunday, the 3rd of September, the Trilogy Boxing Festival, which includes an SA title fight, a Gauteng title fight, and of course that international fight.
And a ladies' fight.
As well as a ladies' fight, which is also a big one to see, along with another host of great, exciting boxing bouts coming out at that event.
And also, there's some really interesting fights. I'm very keen to see how the Jared Silverman fight pans out. It's very exciting. Obviously, the Clement Kamanga and Michael McGregor fight is very interesting. If both boys win, they matched against each other on the 4th of November, again at the Portuguese Hall at the Southern Giant, my big annual tournament that's been running for 17 years. So if those 3 fights happen, like we want, we're going to see good things on the 4th of November. I can't talk too much about that because that's the future, but there's some very good fights there. Mitch Stein also one to watch. I want to see how that goes down. And then funny thing is, Lillian and Siobhan are both heavyweights. The heavyweight SA title is vacant. If they have a great fight, we're actually going to turn this into a title fight at the Southern Giant on the 4th of November. So we'll be claiming that heavyweight title. It's been vacant forever because you don't get many heavyweight ladies. So, I could make a whole lot of jokes about heavy chicks and things like that. But anyway, I'm not going to. It's just
let's keep it classy.
It's rare that you're going to get heavyweight ladies. So we've got 2 heavyweight ladies eventually, and perhaps they're going to be fighting for the title soon.
So that's an exciting fight to look forward to. Either if you don't know Anton's boxing history and you're not going to be able to guess that and inbox him for those free tickets, of course you can buy tickets for the Trilogy Boxing event, as we said, from either Lionel Hunter, Manny Fernandez, Anton Gilmore himself, and of course from Web Tickets as well.
It's important to know that if you buy the tickets beforehand, it's 100 Rand a seat. If you buy it at the gate, it's 150 Rand on the day. So pre-sales are being pushed so that you get your tickets early.
Yeah, okay. Be sure to get your tickets early. Save yourself a massive 50% on those. Use that $50 to get yourself a lekker prego roll, maybe a lekker drink, and to let the kids have some fun. So there's a lot to look forward to on the day. It'll be a great family event. Save your money on your tickets now. Use that extra $50 a ticket on your prego rolls and your lekker sweets and just good times at the event itself.
At the same time, we've got a mass of celebrities coming. Ledwaba, Dingon Tubella, Brian Mitchell, Jeff Ellis. There's quite a few others. Paul Kamanga's coming to watch his brother. They're all going to be pulled to a station where you can have a photo taken with him. Okay, so we'll set up a roster on the day when you get there, and you can see when you must go to that photo booth, so to speak, and get your photo taken with him. And you get a photo with him and perhaps a signature.
Oh, that'll be awesome. So get autographs and a new profile picture for your Facebook page alongside Paul Kamanga, Brian Mitchell, and the likes of some of South Africa's historical boxing icons. Anton, anyone who wants to have a photo taken with you, can they find you on the day?
Yeah, they've just got to rush to the corner because I'll be in the corner and then just selfie it quickly.
Just a quick selfie photo with
Yeah.
Anton. Try not to disturb him too much. Of course, he is working on Sunday the 3rd. I hope you guys work your way down there as well and enjoy a great day out with the family at the Portuguese Hall, one of the legendary, iconic, historical sites for the boxing world of South Africa, and it's bound to be an absolute scorcher of an event. Well, that's going to be it from us here at the brandlive.co.za for the Box Office Radio Show. Be sure to join us for that great Trilogy boxing event. I hope to see a lot of you there. If you do have any further questions, of course, don't be afraid to either inbox myself, Marco Martins, on Facebook. Otherwise, Anton Gilmore for those tickets, as well as those free tickets. Don't forget about that one. If you want to get yourself some free tickets ahead of the event, inbox Anton Gilmore with his fight record, and we could be seeing you on Sunday the 3rd of September watching some of those incredible fights. We're going to have to call it in for the day now, but I hope you have enjoyed an awesome show with us. So from me and Anton, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.
Obrigado.